Alright, if you're joining us again, this is our second time streaming. The first one, I accidentally unplugged our camera that we use for streaming, and I didn't notice that I unplugged it, and I was very confused. Well, I plugged it back into a different USB port, not the one connected to the laptop, and I was very confused why the camera was on but not showing up on our stream. So, technical difficulties, I apologize there. Thank you for tuning in if you are. If you're watching this live, thanks for being here live. Feel free to leave us questions in the chat. If you're watching this later on, you can leave questions down in the comments and I will respond to them as soon as I can. In the passenger seat is my brother Zach. He's going to be running the stream today, so bear with us. We are both still learning this. I streamed for the first time on Saturday night, and it was pretty simple. This time we've got banners and scrolls and all this other stuff that's making it a little bit more complicated. So bear with us if there's any more issues, but we'll try to keep the stream going nice and smooth tonight. So currently we are sitting at Illinois Park School for a MVA. It looks like just someone rear-ended someone else, minor fender bender. I don't think there's actually really any injuries considering both drivers are sitting in their car. But yeah, so we're waiting for something else. We are listening to the Elgin Fire Dispatch tonight, and we're also monitoring the 311 app and the What's Happening in Elgin group on Facebook so that we can try to get to some calls tonight and make it interesting. We'll be streaming for a couple hours here. But yeah, we have, what ambulance is this? Ambulance 4 right now in front of us. And yeah, hopefully we get some stuff. So no cameras facing us tonight. We're just going to have the one that you currently are viewing. But yeah. So thanks for joining us, and hopefully we get some interesting stuff tonight. We're hoping. Definitely hoping. If you need, anytime you turn on the light, feel free to.
How much glare does it create? 8. Oh, it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all.
Can you start an engine to this location, please?
Oh. What? I wonder why.
I didn't see your location.
I guess I could be filming some B-roll while I've been sitting here the entire fucking time. Viewer discretion is advised, FYI.
Inadvertent cursing may
transpire, but also we are going to accidents, probably is what we're going to see the most of tonight, but we also might have some fire alarm activation.
Engine 3.
I don't know why I'm recording that. I already know what it is.
1350 Wing Street, Illinois Park School, between North McLean Boulevard and LaSalle Street. Time out, 1834.
It could be that there is
additional resources requested.
Fluid leakage.
1350 Wing Street.
A cracked radiator would mean a hazmat situation, so they would need an engine. That's the only thing that I could think of. So.
I'm going to mute that for a second.
Okay. It did both.
Okay, but only the mic audio is the one that's actually capturing. But yeah, so my brother Zach used to be a paramedic, and he knows that there's a big hole between our seats where everything falls.
Yep.
But yeah, he used to be a paramedic, and so he's very versed with accident procedures. So we were just talking that they're calling a fire engine to the scene. And I was curious as to why, and the reason Zach said is probably because, well, it's possible that the Cadillac that rear-ended the pickup truck might have a cracked radiator, and there might be a fluid spillage, and they have to show up for that. Oh, who's watching? Who's that? What is that?
We got Stack and Ollie.
Oh, great. He was watching on Saturday night as well.
How you doing, Stack?
Thanks for joining us again. I have a little bit of action for you this time.
Yeah.
In fact, let me reposition a little bit better. Maybe you guys can see a little bit more.
There's an engine responding right now. It's a very minor automobile accident. An engine is responding because there's possibly some fluid spillage, radiator fluid, which has to be treated as a hazmat because it is flammable and it's toxic. So the engine will probably come and lay some type of a
hopefully we're not in the way.
They'll lay something down that will absorb that fluid and then just kind of shovel it up. So, but the accident is exceptionally minor, and the engine is rolling in now, which you probably can see in the video. We're in this parking lot of a school here in Elgin.
Yep.
The audio stream is not the best today.
Yeah, the audio's a little.
Copy that.
And they instantly turned off their lights.
Yeah, well, so there's an engine here. It's probably for nothing. I mean, you can see the headlights of the cars off to the left on the driver's side by Sam. And it was extremely minor.
It's possible the Cadillac may have damaged something to where they're no longer able to drive because they did just turn off their headlights. So we might have a tow truck coming for that. But that might be why they still called the engine up. Rarely the engine doesn't really need to have its lights on. It's in a parking lot that there's no one else really in, but I don't know what standard procedure is for that or not. But
especially considering the other vehicle involved is driving away now, so clearly it wasn't that bad.
Realistically, they probably haven't noticed me. So, but yeah, this was originally a MVA with injuries. I don't think there's much injuries to talk about considering the ambulance is leaving unattended most likely, and the fire truck is not leaving. Well, no, they might have someone in the back. Yep, they do.
Okay, they're transporting.
I don't know if it was the driver. Could have been a child.
I don't know why the engine came, because now it's leaving.
Yeah, I'm in the way here. We're going to have to get moving here. So that fire truck has enough room to turn around, or is he going to go out the wrong way?
The fire truck, he can do whatever he wants.
So we are going to get back out on the road here.
Yeah, they're transporting a patient. Probably going to St. Joseph's, which is just down the street.
Speaking of
it's
which,
maybe 2 miles, if that, mile and a half.
When I was at work today, I saw that not typical, but that interesting where I for those of you watching, I worked at Sherman Hospital, and while I was there, someone tripped and fell on the sidewalk outside, and we had to call 911, which is always kind of interesting because you're literally 20 feet from a hospital. Is this fire truck behind us a Mercedes?
No, it's a Seagrave, but the logo is similar.
Oh, okay.
Stack asked another question. Mm-hmm. He asked if it's common for them to clean up fluids, referring to the fire department, which...
I don't know, does the tow company do that or the fire department do that? I guess it depends.
Both, it depends, yeah. If the fluid is considered non-hazardous or at least not likely to be an accelerant, so something that can start on fire, then a tow truck can do it. Or if it was just a tow truck, they wouldn't call a fire truck out for that. But it depends what the fluid is. But since they left so quickly, I do not believe that was the issue. Maybe they were picking up one of the crew members, or they needed an additional paramedic in the back of the ambulance to transport to the hospital.
Maybe a lift assist. Well, I guess if it was a lift assist, they would have dispatched it. That would
in this town, all the ambulances and all the fire trucks are advanced life support, so they all carry paramedics. So all of those vehicles can. They'll have advanced life support supplies as well, the medications, the stuff to like put breathing tubes in people and things like that. And so they may have just needed an additional person to go with to the hospital, and that's why they sent it. So here they generally run a 2-man crew on the ambulance. Sometimes they'll run 3, just depending on the way that the district is set up. So.
Yeah, what I thought was interesting when I was at the hospital today, though, they had an Elgin engine come out, but they had a Rutland Dundee ambulance come out.
And that would have been auto aid. Because, the all their other ambulances were on calls or out of
And then the
service.
ambulance literally turned off its lights to drive to the ER because it wasn't really necessary. But it's such an interesting thing to see. People kept asking, like, oh, why don't you guys just bring out doctors and nurses? It's like, because we're not really allowed to. No, pull out. Okay, I guess not. But I mean, it's like, yeah, we can't do that. They have to call 911.
So this part probably won't be very fun, just driving, but it is a weekday night, so it's unpredictable. It's hard to know what may happen. So
yeah, I wanted to get out a little earlier for rush hour, but unfortunately I work till 4, so I don't have that option. It takes, I don't know, 40 minutes to set up everything in here, and I don't leave this in here because this is my daily driver, so it would definitely get broken into. So I have to set up every day, and it takes a good 40 minutes to set everything up. So. But it is a lot easier when you have someone else with. If Zach wasn't with, it would not be so great. So yeah, that is brand new. That Culver's restaurant. I'll stop there for dinner.
So for anyone who is watching who doesn't know the area, Elgin has about 115,000 people, 2 trauma centers, which is 2 hospitals. They have 7 fire stations. I think they have something like 30-some police officers on during normal hours. So
70.
So you kind of
so Stack City, he watched Shot After Dark on Netflix. Sam and I are huge fans of that show. We loved it. Yeah, we couldn't stop watching it either.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's a great show.
Yeah, I mentioned that Saturday night. That show, is this where I need to turn?
Yep.
Yeah. That show is much more dramatized than the stream is going to be. I can tell you that right now.
A lot of the elements are
the crazy engine noises coming from a Ford Taurus. Not at all accurate, and the height that there is. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that they do drive pretty reckless, but it's probably extremely boring for them on a regular basis. But for television, they got to make it
interesting,
way more interesting, and blowing red lights and stuff. Yeah, no, I don't think that happens all that much. So,
but still a great show.
Yeah, fantastic show. I was bummed to see that they canceled it, but like we talked on Saturday, they did that just because the public opinion of it was not the greatest, because people didn't understand that these people are doing what the news does. I mean, if you saw a news truck filming a car accident, you wouldn't question it. If you saw someone driving by filming it with their phone and posting it to Facebook, you wouldn't question it. But when you see these people that are, a lot of them are money hungry, but regardless, you see these people that are doing this for a living, they automatically think it's bad, and that's why that show got canceled. They actually filmed like half of season 2, and they just never released it. So
we have SF Media Apps also. Said thanks for setting this up. Long-time Elginite here. Very nice. Yeah, there's Elginites all over the place.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I bumped into some down in Tennessee in the Smokies myself, actually. It was really just luck of it to bump into someone so far away that grew up and lived here in this town. So
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Elgin's a great community. Like I said Saturday, I don't even live in Elgin anymore currently. It's just too expensive to live in Elgin at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I could be doing this streaming in Rockford and Aurora and Chicago and getting much better footage, and it would be the most entertaining thing you've ever watched. But it's dangerous, and also I just like being in Elgin. I like capturing Elgin first responders. They really work hard, and they do. They do some fantastic work. I think we have one of the best police departments. We have a fantastic fire department. So
it's a transparent police department too.
Very transparent.
They keep the public notified with things that may not even be their business, but they do it because law enforcement worldwide, but especially like in America, is under scrutiny, and so they try to be, they try to get the public informed of events that are taking place. Elgin does get homicides. They do get shootings. It's not as often as like Chicago, because we are a suburb of Chicago. But they do get their fair share of crime in some small parts of
more shootings this year than ever before. But most of that is gang related, or just even just dumb people that are doing it, and not a lot of people are getting injured. Well, in quarantine,
if you think about it, quarantine, you wouldn't think of it as how it affects other things, but people are stuck inside more.
Oh,
and so when they get a chance to go out, it does tend to bring out crime as well. It's kind of twofold.
Yeah, and we are currently on the campus of Sherman Hospital.
Yeah.
Beautiful hospital.
It's the main trauma center for the area.
Yep. And not super old, but I'm sure if you're from the Elgin area, you know all about it. You've probably been here for doctor's appointment or ER or something. But fantastic hospital. They're doing a lot of additions and things like that. So.
SF Media Cities in Austin, watching you guys on the big screen. Wow, we are not worthy. And then Stack also said that he lives by the Biggers in Elgin. Oh yeah, we know where that's at.
Yep. We know exactly. Where
I've lived in Elgin the Elgin area since 1993 is when I moved here.
Yeah.
Sam was born here, and our family was from the other suburbs, but we moved to Elgin, and we quickly became Elginites ourselves. We really, really do love it here.
Elgin is definitely our home.
I was a paramedic in this city for a number of years, and Sam with doing this, he knows a lot of the fire department staff. He knows a lot of the law enforcement staff. They know him, and it's a good relationship, which is helpful too. So, but yeah, we love it here. It's home.
And if you're wondering why we're here, one, we wanted to show you guys something more than just driving down boring streets, but I also am capturing some B-roll footage today for a future video that hopefully we'll be able to produce. So put together, depending on how much footage we are able to capture over the next few days, but I'm going to stop here at the main entrance and get some, maybe not.
Boulevard and William Street. Time out. 1847.
We lost our camera as well.
Down by the Elgin Mall, right?
Yes, down by the Elgin Mall, on the west side. Sorry about the camera, you guys. It fell.
Yep, that might happen a couple times here.
I think I fixed it. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll have to anchor
if
that
it falls
down.
again, we makeshift this quite a bit.
If we get a chance here tonight to pull over, I might change cameras. We'll just see. I'm not sure, but
yeah,
I'm going to focus on driving here. Trying to get down to...
injury, a child
Sorry, I guess I just take turns a little slower. Wrap that bottom piece underneath it. Like that.
This is working terribly.
Let me just go ahead and turn off that camera here momentarily.
Yeah.
Unmuted. Oh, okay. So we just have this call that's going out. Let's change that to MVA.
Yeah.
This is a car versus child at McLean and Lillian. That's right by the Elgin Mall. We're gonna break 1 second here. This might be homely. Hit fade. When we turn here, can you just put your finger right here and hold the camera?
Yeah.
If we get this light, I'm going to be taking this light kind of quick. Now put your finger up here next to the camera. Keep it from sliding off. Alright.
So this isn't a typical car accident. It's going to be motor vehicle versus a pedestrian. The pedestrian is a child, is what the dispatch would say. Take Highland. Highland will be faster because you don't have to worry about the roundabout. So, sorry, no, take Big Timber. Well, the light's going to be bad now, so never mind. So,
but yeah, this is a pretty, if this is actually what they're saying, this is going to be a bad accident. So I do want to remind you, viewer discretion is advised.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what we might see.
If something is terrible, we'll try our best to not broadcast it to the universe, but
and in this case, as much as I enjoy streaming, the footage I capture on my actual DSLRs is my priority. so I may not always be able to park the car so you get a view, but I'll do my best.
Yeah.
But I will be jumping out of the car pretty quick, so Zach will have to update you on what's going on.
Yep, will do.
I guess I could have gotten my handheld radios out so that we'd be able to communicate while I'm out there. But nonetheless, we will try to keep this entertaining, and hopefully we can get through traffic here, because that fire department is literally 2 blocks away.
Yeah, their station's
So
close. Yeah.
we're definitely not going to beat them there, but if we can at least get something, probably won't get anyone on the ground unless it's a serious accident. But
well, and the other thing to consider is, no matter what speed the vehicle is going,
would maybe getting on 20.
That's what I was trying to think
of. Then we can get off
of.
on McLean the other way. We won't get stuck in the back.
Yeah, try that. Go east on 20.
Because Lillian
Exit McLean.
Which one is Lillian though? Is that right there at the corner of?
Well, what did they say? It was McLean and Lillian.
Yeah,
then yes.
McLean and Lillian.
Then it would be
So
easier to
that
take
one's
20.
right. Okay, so we'll jump on. And we know Elgin pretty well. I don't have to use my Google Maps all that often, only for like if it's like 200 block of Slade Avenue. I'm not gonna know where the heck that is. So I'll use it for that in that case. But McLean and Lillian, I know exactly where that is. Anything like McLean, Randall, Highland, all those streets are very well known. So I can, we've lived here long enough to where I know Elgin better than anywhere else. So you could blindfold me, I'd be able to get there. We're gonna crash a car instantly, but I'll get there eventually.
I was gonna say let's not do it that way, but to each their own, I suppose. Hey, it would give interesting footage to those watching the stream.
I keep saying that,
the numbers climbed up a bit. We appreciate that. We don't expect a big turnout, but
they always say don't become the story. But when you're desperate, you're desperate.
Story sells, Yeah.
Even though we're not gonna be selling. Well, you never know. I mean, I filmed a car crashing into a BP gas station, and
it was a couple of years
back.
I
just did that. It was last year during the pandemic, and I just did it for, I guess 2020. It was during that year, but I just did that because that doesn't happen every day, and it ended up being it's one of my most popular videos. So yeah. I have a feeling we'll probably have to be using some not emergency lights, warning lights when we get to the scene, because even if we're
a major intersection,
even if we're parked in the parking lot of one of those businesses, the main issue is there's a lot of traffic that goes through there, and everyone's going to be paying attention to the car crash and not what's in front of them. So I'm going to light this thing up front and back and hazards on, whatever I have to. Well, probably not hazards on, because that's probably going to get really annoying to listen to. But definitely get these emergency lights on so that I am safe, and I'm going to throw on my reflective jacket that I have in my trunk as well.
I was going to suggest that,
because I am currently wearing all black. Because sometimes I wear all black for certain situations. If I go to certain calls and I don't want to be noticed by the police, because example, I went to it was a horrible winter storm we got during 2020 into 2021, and I went stringing, and I probably shouldn't have been out because it was dangerous just to drive, but it was off on Randall Road and Route 72, and I pulled off on a side street and ran through the ditch, and it was definitely not
I remember that,
I did, but the reason I did it is I wore black is because I didn't want to be noticed. Because the second a cop noticed me, she's like,
"Come on, car turn."
She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm
shoot. We should have cut through the hospital."
No, I don't know.
Well, it's too late now.
Because I'm just.
Hold on one second.
It depends which side of the street the accident's on.
True.
But I'm gonna make up a lot of time on 20. So careful.
Yeah.
And then you want to hold that camera again?
Yeah.
I'm taking this at speed. Not at speed. I'll slow down. But I need to get gas. Shoot, my gas light's gonna be coming on here momentarily. I guess after this call we'll go and get gas. Also, any stunts performed in this video are performed not by professionals, so do not imitate them at all.
Yeah.
We are not professionals. I do drive a lot, and I've driven quote unquote for a living, but I do not recommend driving. Anything.
So, Stack asked also. Yeah, SF Media agreed. Yeah, use 20. Yeah, that was definitely a lot quicker. So, and then Stack asked, I'm still a paramedic. I am still licensed in the state of Illinois to be a paramedic. I am not practicing medicine right now. I'm in a different industry. I did love it. It is my life. It's, everything. It can be tough, but a lot of it you also have to learn how to just deal with. You have to let stuff roll off your back. You see a lot of dead people, obviously, and that's difficult, more so when you have to deal with family of loved ones that have passed away. That is challenging, obviously, but the job itself, I loved it. I mean, it's awesome. You have bad days, but everyone at work has bad days, and most people don't get to say that they love going to work. So to have that is great, you know. So, but I'm not practicing it right now. So, but I'm still licensed.
All right. As we get down the hill, we should see our accident.
Yeah, it should be off to the side there at that intersection right over there.
Actually, a little further down. I'm not sure.
A little. It's further down than
right there. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, lost our camera again. Sorry, everybody.
I have a rubber band in the back. We're gonna rubber band that down. Yeah. So
sorry, guys.
this camera that you're watching is actually sitting on top of another camera that is section cut to the roof. I'll have to see what I can do about that, but we'll worry about that after this. Hopefully I can get through this light. You know what? I should have turned right and flipped around and came back.
Nah, it's
what?
This is a weird intersection where each lane gets its own time, so it's not like you'll get oncoming. Well, I guess right now you are, but generally.
The accident's in the right lane, so that's gonna be on the northeast side of the road.
Yes, yeah, it's going to be across from the
pull into that liquor store parking lot right there on the right, just past the Bradley and here.
Just pull it right behind the ambulance; it'll be fine.
Honestly, they probably wouldn't care that much.
No, they probably would. I
okay.
would, but either way. So for anyone who just is jumping in, we are right around the corner from a motor vehicle accident versus a pedestrian, and it sounds like the pedestrian's a child. And something that I had said earlier is that even 2 miles an hour, a car versus a person, it doesn't matter what speeds, it can be very dangerous.
I've been hit by a car.
Yeah,
twice,
Sam's been hit by a car while bicycling.
I was bicycling and I got hit by a car and I ended up underneath their front bumper. And to this day, I have horrible leg pain and, you know, I can't walk. I can't. Well, that's irrelevant. That's from something else. That's from my 3 concussions I've had.
Right.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my. Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get my lights here ready to go. We're gonna pull in this parking lot and activate.
Watch out. We got cross traffic and we're good. Okay, clear. So might not be able to see the lights yet. We definitely got law enforcement and we have fire personnel.
All right. How can I park here? You know what? This isn't gonna be a good place to park. Is that driveway blocked up there? Can you
go up to the Alfaros.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go up one street if you can.
I don't know if that driveway's blocked because that's not gonna be a good view, and I can't block everyone.
Oh, I think that's open because there's cars on the other side of it. Yeah, parking right where we were would be blocking other people in.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to see here directly in front of us behind the rearview mirror. We have 1, 2, 3. Elgin City Police.
Oh, here we go.
have an engine company and an ambulance. We do have a patient right next to us here. Yeah, we have the engine company here. This is the intersection of Lillian and McLean Boulevard. Looks like a teenager or a preteen, possibly.
Teenager, yeah. Teenager is making loud noises. Where's the ambulance? Is it around the corner?
Yes, it's in front of the engine. Ambulance 3, I believe. The other thing you could do is park in the car wash parking lot, but...
And I'll flip around the parking lot so we can get a view of what else is happening here.
Yeah, just like this should be fine.
There we go. Is that a good view for you?
To be respectful of the patient, yes. We don't want to show a patient's face or anything, especially if they're minor. That violates not just ethical issues, but China buffet. Yeah, right. We're at the Alfaros actually, so which is where it's at. So there's been some growth here too. They got like a new car wash in, some stuff. It looked very different here a couple years ago. So I did not see the car that was involved that may have hit the child, but this is a busy intersection here, so. And here comes Sam back. Let's see what Sam has to say. Did they kick you out?
All right, we are not going to be sticking around here very long, unfortunately. The cop did not ask me to leave, but he said I might want to be careful because these people are currently threatening to harm me in many different ways.
Which people?
The people over here staying in the grass because that is their little brother, whatever that
Well,
is currently.
We are being respectful.
We are.
We're
but
not
I am
going
not gonna
to
stick around.
Yeah.
So we are gonna flip around here, not drive by them. Unfortunately, this happens not that often actually, but I've had this happen in Carpentersville before, and I was cornered, and I do not want to run into a situation like that.
Stop
again.
up here? I'm going to readjust the camera and put it back
Yeah.
so that I'm not holding it, because our viewers will.
But it does sound like it is
Feel
a minor.
Yeah, it looks like a teenager. Is what we were thinking, right?
Seems like he is in a lot of pain. Family's very upset.
Which is completely understandable.
Yeah, I don't see a vehicle, so I'm guessing this was a hit and run.
Which is even more disgusting. Yeah, so. We get the family are going to obviously not want their loved ones on camera, and we're not in any way heartless towards that, especially with myself working in the industry. The main part is getting footage, but doing so in a respectful way, especially when it's a child. And a child isn't going to understand fully that, the events that have transpired.
Right.
And so the biggest thing to do is to just be polite. So right now, there's no pending calls for us to go to.
It is important to know also that if I put that footage in a video, that I would post on YouTube later on, no faces are ever in the video. I wouldn't zoom in close enough to be able to have any facial recognition of who that person was. Especially considering they are a minor, I can't even legally put that on the internet. But regardless, in all my videos, if someone's face is in a video or whatever, I always blur that out. I don't typically capture people that often. I typically capture the aftermath of car accidents because, that is what it is. I don't even get to calls that quickly, but I always try to stay respectful. I talked about this a little bit on Saturday night, but I've had a lot of families reach out after car accidents, and one of the worst calls I went to was a minor that his body was found deceased at the end of a street, and that was really hard for the family, and they reached out to me, and I offered to take down my video out of respect to them because there's no reason to have that up if it's just going to hurt people. So they wanted to leave it up so that people were aware and they could also send in any information if anyone had it. But my intentions here are good. My intentions are to capture first responders and that, to show what they do in our community and also show a problem that Elgin has a lot of hit and runs, unfortunately, and with pedestrians. Mine was a hit and run when I was hit by a car. So, I think it's something important to capture. Obviously, this family's upset, so I'm not going to stick around too long to put myself in danger, but, it is what it is. But that family probably doesn't realize that every person that drove by probably took a video of that crash or that accident, in some way or form with their cell phone, whatever. So, yep, and that's the last thing we've had come out so far. I'm not sure how long Elgin keeps up their 311 posting, but so far it's been quiet. Not too bad, actually. We've had a couple of things here. We have a few people watching, which is great.
A few people watching, despite technical difficulties.
What's our comments got so far?
Let me get to that after this turn.
Yeah, so we'll head to downtown Elgin and park up a little bit and see if we can adjust some camera stuff as well.
Stack asked again, Sam, did you happen to look into if Elgin has a World War II fallout shelter? I mentioned it Saturday.
Oh yeah, no, I did not have time to look into that. It was a busy,
that is actually a good
busy weekend.
Question,
that is
though,
something I can look up though while we are stopped, and I can actually reach out to a couple of people that I know would have that information. So
it's actually a really good question, and I never even would have thought of it.
Well, I know I was telling him on Saturday. I know Larson had a bomb shelter in the cafeteria in the basement that they now use for storage, and I think the Masonic building on Chicago Street, East Chicago Street, had a shelter in the bottom as well. But I don't know if those were for weather specifically or not. When I was at Larson, I always heard from the staff that they were for bomb shelters, but I'm not sure the extent of that. So yeah, I'll have to look into that, and I'll do that when we stop here. If we get a few minutes, I'll see what happens. So that was a nice cop on that call though.
Well, they got a job to do, but they also know that
he walked up. He's like, I have no problem with you doing this. He's like, but just know that they may not be. He's like, you can hear them already. I'm like, yeah, I know. And then as I was turned around to walk away, I'm like, yep, I'm done. He's like, yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. So yeah, he was a nice guy. He didn't try to convince me not to film.
Yeah, I'd say in this city, and then I like I said before, I personally worked in Elgin and I worked out in Rockford, and there is a difference in the way police conduct themselves between the two, at least from a first responder's perspective. The county that we worked with out there, we had a lot of great officers that we worked with. They worked great with the community. They were always helpful. Stuff bothered them, certain types of calls still bother them, and but it isn't fair to say all officers are one way or another way. But I know that in my personal dealings with Elgin, I have never had a single time where I felt that I was treated poorly or unfairly. So I'm sure other folks may disagree, but my perspective, because they have a job to do, and we have to respect that.
I think Elgin has a great department. I think that every department is going to have certain issues as time goes, especially as the world is changing. In terms of good cop, bad cop, and a lot of the race issues that are going on in departments. I think that's, I don't want to say a given, but it's becoming much more prominent and known. So I think that every department is dealing with that in some way or another. And what matters at the end of the day is how those departments react and change to the problems that they face. Elgin, had that officer involved shooting a few years ago, and that really affected the community. But Elgin has grown a lot since then. They
I would agree with
incredible
that, yeah.
mental health training now, and what is that? I'm blanking out what it is. It's the different steps you take, for lethal force and all that.
There's like 5 steps to it. Oh, we lost the whole setup. Oh no! All right, we are going to fade out for just a moment, folks. We lost the whole camera setup.
We can keep the mic going. I'll keep talking about this a little bit while I set this back up.
You can still set it up. I'm going to just sit in the passenger seat.
Yeah, I think actually, go ahead and mute it because I realize this is connected to the.
To the audio. We'll go with audio anyway. So we'll be right back, folks.
Okay, we're back. I think we fixed it for good now. I don't think you're gonna move anymore. So sorry for the delay. I plan on doing this again on Wednesday night, so I will be a little bit more prepared. You know what we need to do, Zach, more than anything else right now? We need to get gas. Because we're gonna run out of gas. So
let's see. We have a few more questions came in. We got Paula McDonough. If I said that wrong, I apologize. Thanks, Sam, for the updates for City of Elgin, the Elgin community, and State of Illinois. Sam, if Elgin, Illinois has storms like Chicago, and Illinois had rain and snow for Chicago and Illinois, we get almost the same weather that Chicago gets.
They get a little bit more lake effect than we do, but we're close enough to where we do still get lake effect. In fact, sometimes we end up getting a lot more snow than they do too.
Not to mention
we have
unseasonably warm out today.
We have two siblings that live in the city, and sometimes when we're like, wow, we got 10 inches of snow, or I guess not that much. Well, we got 8 inches of snow, and they have like 2. So it really differs.
But it's generally similar.
But it's pretty much the same, yeah.
So far, nothing else has really come on the scanner for this area. Huntley had a couple of calls come in, but obviously we're not going to Huntley. That's a hike.
Go all the way to Huntley.
We're in downtown Elgin right now, just in front of the police station.
Yep.
So.
Did we hear if that ambulance went to St. Joe's yet?
They may have done it on their CAD system. They may have just typed in that they were heading,
okay.
Which means they wouldn't have to radio it. I don't know if
Unfortunately,
uses CAD.
The website I use for streaming the frequencies right now is not the best tonight. Whoever's streaming the Elgin Fire Dispatch is not. They're having some trouble with their stream. It's a little choppy and hard to hear. So,
but without them, we would have nothing. So it is great.
I do plan on getting some better, an actual handheld scanner. Which, by the way, I'm not sure who it was, but one of my viewers from Saturday night gave me a donation on my website. I didn't get a name. At least I don't remember the name. But I don't think I received one. But I want to say thank you if you're watching for the donation. I was very surprised and thankful for that.
It goes right back into what he does. It goes into supplies and
it goes into my equipment. Most of the equipment I have now is the equipment I'm going to have for a while, just because I've invested so much into it. But paying for projects and going stringing and things like that, that's what that all pays for. So I do thank anyone that donates. I've had a few donations in the past as well. So if you're watching and if you donated in the past, or honestly just watching now, it really helps out.
Engine 6 and Ambulance 5. Ambulance request 297 South McLean Boulevard. Extreme car wash between Lillian Street and Minor.
We're just there.
Timeout 1917.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Engine 6 and Ambulance 5. Ambulance request 297 South McLean Boulevard.
Unknown issue though, but that's not a request for additional. That's a new call. Oh, that's going to be for probably. I'm just going to leave it alone. So, I think I know what the call's for.
Could it be the family that's on scene?
Yes, that is most likely what it is. So, Stack said that he sent it.
Oh.
He appreciates your knowledge. Well, we appreciate. Sam appreciates that
so very much. I greatly appreciate that. That's incredible. You are awesome.
Sam is stopping for gas on this live stream, and
you don't mind me.
We got a 1022 at the BP.
You have money, right?
Yeah, of course.
In the car for free.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So.
Well, great. Thank you.
Take a quick pause.
Thank you, Stack, for the donation. You're paying for my gas.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. So. But Sam's going to get some gas real quick. It sounds like the other call that came in, the family was obviously upset with that last call, which is completely understandable.
I show you both on route to 297 South McLean Boulevard, 297 South McLean Extreme Car Wash for an 11-year-old male. Paula's advising many of the spike either. We do have police en route.
So not sure if you heard that. Patient's an 11-year-old. It's probably a sibling to the one that was in the accident.
Yeah, they were very
upset, which
I can understand. They were screaming things like "why" and
especially if the person fled the scene, which is what seems likely, is even more upsetting, and even to us, like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That boils your blood and it really upsets you.
And I mean, I that's why, I mean, other than my safety, leaving that call, other than my safety, I do understand what the family's going through. So that, I don't want to say breaks my heart, but obviously that's going to affect me as well.
Yeah.
And rather than making the situation worse for them, I might as well just leave and leave it be,
Yeah.
I probably, and being honest with you guys here, I'm probably not going to use that footage, even though I got some good footage and got to see, first responders.
Be advised, we have upgraded this to a suicidal subject.
Suicidal subject?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so,
that's the gas station that was... It is very sad, yeah. It is sad. We don't like seeing that.
Naturally, we're not going to be using that footage at all, and we're not going to go back to that scene. We do not respond to medical calls for the most part, especially a suicide. So,
100%.
That's very difficult for the family. So.
Message you say, how many times did you copy?
I'm just going to finish up, and then we'll see if anything else comes in. It's a weekday, so who knows? We might not get anything else, but those that have stuck around and watched with us, we do appreciate it. It means a lot to us. It really does, even if it's just a couple of people. It means a couple of people are taking time out of their own day, out of their own lives to watch us piddling around Elgin, so...
We might. Someone just sent me a message on Snapchat. I think I know who.
Fire engine.
All right.
But we're gonna see John Lilly and just use in the plane.
Yeah, they got.
So if you heard,
yeah, so they're staging right now because likely the scene is unsafe for the medical personnel to go into, which means Elgin Police are currently with the individual, and Elgin Police are very well trained in, what is it called?
Crisis intervention.
They've had a lot more since that police-involved shooting a few years ago, so naturally they are going to try to do what they can with the individual, and once they are able to successfully talk him or her down, then the medical staff will
Paula said today is President's Day, which I did not know that.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that explains why flags were half-staffed at all of the municipality buildings throughout the city. I was wondering that. I didn't even know that, so... that's interesting.
Alright. Yeah, so we probably won't string as much. I think the other night we did almost till, I think it was about 11 o'clock I finally stopped.
Oh, wow.
We're not going to do that late tonight, just because it is a work night, and it seems to really slow down after the end of rush hour, but I will also be streaming again on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. So tonight we're a little bit late, but...
Stack asked an interesting question. What do you know about the old Elgin races? I have a new Corvette and am fascinated by Elgin's rich racing history. Do you know what streets the races were on? Or I didn't know.
Yeah, so the Elgin street races, it was a very long course, and the main area was McLean Boulevard, right where Larkin High School is now presently sitting.
Really?
But it went up and down McLean, Highland Avenue, across into downtown Elgin on East Chicago Street, but it was mostly on the west side. And yeah, Highland, McLean, those were big and Larkin Avenue, those were, the main raceways. And yeah, it's actually, I love the old races, and I love seeing the old photos. I have some postcard photos and other photos that I have a collection of that I'll have to post on my website or at some point to show everyone. But yeah, I love that piece of history because most people don't know about them now. There's not much left of that history for you to really know about, but it is pretty cool. Yeah, I definitely agree. If you're in the
When did that exist? Do you know when the races were popular?
19.
Are you talking like 50s, 60s, or more frequent or newer?
Yeah, 50s
like
at the latest.
We're going to pull in for a quick bathroom break here, so we'll be right back.
Just a couple minutes
Just
here.
a couple minutes here. We'll be right back, though.
Thank you. I will have to say, excuse my chewing. I have not eaten yet today, so when Zach said bathroom break, he really meant I was getting food.
I need to use the bathroom. So
I excused myself for that. But yeah, no. To what you were saying, yeah, 1908. That sounds about right. For those races, they were very early on. And Elgin was not. I mean, Elgin was a good-sized city at that point, but that was not a huge thing back then. Races across literally the streets of the city. And I was curious. I was curious. I saw that you said you had a Corvette. Are you a part of any antique car clubs or anything like that in Elgin? There are quite a few. Not a few, but they are, they do quite a few different events in Elgin.
Not clear.
And I don't know if you've ever been to the Elgin History Museum for the annual Classic Car Show, but
Clear
if you
for left
haven't,
lane.
I would definitely recommend doing that this
Clear for left
spring,
lane.
summer.
Okay, you're good.
That's, a great event. So I'm not sure if you've been to that, but if you haven't, I would definitely recommend that in the spring. I think they do it in May, right after Memorial Day.
Scanner's pretty quiet now.
While we were getting food at that drive-thru, they did, if I remember correctly, they did get the child under control, I want to say.
The scene secured and everything.
Secured, and so that's a good thing.
Fire and EMS will not go into a call, like to the scene, if there is, if it's domestic, a violent crime, a medical, like a psychiatric evaluation, like suicidal subject or anything. They will wait until the police clear it. Fire and EMS don't carry weapons. They have no way to protect themselves. And I have been on calls personally where someone lashes out, and you are permitted to defend yourself, obviously, but it's different with law enforcement, as they can, use handcuffs or just other techniques that we don't have access to. So they'll wait for the police to ensure that, okay, there's no one here that could pose a danger, because there's already inherent dangers to the line of work. Why add more to it if it's not necessary? So.
Right. Yeah, it's very different from what you'll see on dramatized television shows where firefighters are in the middle of a shootout and, they're spraying them down with hoses or whatever. Yeah, no, that doesn't happen.
Stack is not involved in any of the car clubs, but would like to be. Well, if you got a Corvette, you should be.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I can definitely, I can get you that information, and either next stream I can give you that information, or I can send it to you through YouTube, and get you that information for the car clubs, because they are some fantastic people in those clubs. They do a lot of different events. They do, little get-togethers here and there, potlucks, but they do a lot of different events in the city. And like I said, the annual Classic Car Show at the Elgin History Museum is a great event every year. I've been to it every single year. I filmed it a couple times. You can check it out on my channel as well. It's a fun event. It's a cool event. They put cars right on the lawn. They close off Park Street, fill up the street. A lot of people come to that. So I would definitely recommend checking that out in May. I believe it's before Memorial Day, but after the Foxtrot. So definitely would check that out.
Signal's been green since we restarted it.
Yeah, that's good. When we first started the stream, we had to reset the stream twice. The first time we started it, we did not have a good internet connection, so we had to delay it and keep delaying. But since we've been in Elgin, it's been great. Good quality, I think, at least on our end. I don't know how it looks on your end, but.
Well, I've been watching it secondary, and it looks. I saw a few hiccups here and there with the video, but overall, it's.
I mean, considering we're constantly moving and going between different satellites and towers, it's not bad.
Yeah.
For those wondering, I use an in-car hotspot for my stringing, built into the car.
Yeah.
Runs off of AT&T, so.
Yeah.
We're back in downtown Elgin just like that. And I think I stepped in gas because it smells like gas in here.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. Now we're going to need a fire engine to come.
Yeah. Except you're going to have a heck of a time getting out of the car if it starts on fire, because you got a lot of obstacles in your way. You got wires running beneath you, and this laptop
on the radio they just said that the first ambulance, so the kid, that ambulance is clear of the hospital. So when EMS brings you to the hospital, they will resupply their ambulance with anything they used on the patient. The hospital has 90% of what they need. Some stuff they have to get themselves through outside resources. And then they have a report they have to do. It's pretty lengthy. The more critical a patient is, the more interventions they do, the longer it takes. It's usually about 30 minutes, and they'll do a report, and they'll turn that into the hospital doctor, give them any updates, what they saw with the patient, what they think the injuries were, and then they'll go back to their station, or quarters as they call it. So the first ambulance is heading back to their station. Hopefully they'll get some sleep tonight. And then the second ambulance is still to transport to the hospital, so we'll see if that happens. But other than that, nothing else going on.
For those who do not live in Elgin or do not drive through Elgin, this is a new addition Elgin has done to downtown, as they've added these string lights that go across on Grove Avenue. Really pretty cool. I think they spent way too much money on them, but
They look really nice.
They do look really nice. So adds a little bit of downtown. Unfortunately, downtown still does not have a lot of people out at night or during
Which
the
is
day.
a shame because it is beautiful downtown. It's really nice.
There is a building on DuPage Court there, which you can't drive on that, but that's right across from Al's Cafe. They are turning that building that's been abandoned for years into an apartment complex. So hopefully that'll bring some more life down to Elgin, and of course
it is better than it was when I moved
on
here.
The corner here is the Elgin Tower building, which was revitalized a few years ago, and it's I'm so glad that they were able to save that because it was in condemned status, and they spent, I think, like, if I remember correctly, it was like $400 million or something like that to revitalize that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Sam and I will probably try to do this again, probably Friday evening. If
I don't know, you weren't listening earlier. My next stream is on Wednesday.
Yes, but I'm saying for Friday is when we would likely see more calls, just because statistically the weekends are busier for the fire department. So.
Yeah, I will be streaming Wednesday, assuming everything goes to plan. And that'll be at 5:30 p.m.
5:30 p.m.
If it's a little late, it'll be 6, but I'll update the video feed so that you are aware of that. Yeah. Probably going to try to do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, depending on the popularity. But so far, I'm very pleased with it. I didn't think anyone would watch, and we've had a good amount of people watching tonight. So definitely appreciate that. As I've mentioned before, we do this completely voluntarily. We don't make any money from this. On the very rare occasion that we do, it goes right back into, equipment and all that. And we'll definitely, since I do not plan on streaming tomorrow night, I will take some time and get the camera set up a little bit better and a little bit more enjoyable to watch. So I don't know why I stopped here, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, we're sitting right in front of the Elgin Police Department.
Yeah.
In their quick parking little area right up front. It's to the right of us. Parking garage is to the left. So
I will say one thing I did not like, and I don't know if it's so much as the police department or the city of Elgin, park services, but one thing they did 2020, that was kind of, I don't want to say upsetting, but discouraging to see, is that they took out all the park benches in front of the Elgin Police Department to try to keep homeless from sleeping at the department. Some say the reasoning was they don't want homeless harassing people at night if they need to come to the police station. Others say they just wanted the department to look nice. The department never released any information as to why, but I just thought that was a little discouraging. The city's had a lot of problem with homeless lately in the last couple of years, and I don't think they've had any. No, we are not going to go that way. That's a freight train. They have not had any good solutions to.
Well, the Elgin Police Department does have a warming center in the cooler months.
Yeah.
Where anyone who is homeless can go to the police station, have an area where they can sit and get warm. It's pretty rudimentary. At least it existed when I worked in the city as a paramedic.
A couple now, yeah.
So, when it's cold outside and you got nowhere to go, sitting in a lobby even is better than sitting out in the cold.
Yeah.
So.
And back to the whole, police thing, with how Elgin has grown and gotten better in recent years, the last couple of years specifically. I think the new Chief Lally, is really, it's been a good face to the department. When that officer-involved shooting happened, we had Chief Svoboda, which he did a lot for the city of Elgin through many years. He was a rope officer, and that's a great program for Elgin, especially back in the 90s when Elgin was going through kind of a tough time with its reputation and the safety of its citizens, especially in downtown Elgin. So he did a lot of good, but I think when that officer-involved shooting happened, he He was very quick to defend the police department, which, if that's what he felt he needed to do, that's great. But when Chief Lally, I was at the Black Lives Matter protest that happened at the Elgin Police Department, and when I was filming it, Chief Lally actually came out to the front of the building, and she talked with everyone for hours about what they thought the problem was and what they could be doing better, and she truly listened, and I think that was a good stepping stone in the right direction for Elgin and for the department. And that's why I continue to say I think Elgin is one of the best police departments. Are they perfect? No. Do they make mistakes? And are there still some more areas they need to improve on? Absolutely. There's always more areas they need to improve on. But overall, I think that they are really good at overcoming their downsides, their downfalls. So that's what I have to say about that. Thank you for my TED Talk. Y'all have a good day.
We're driving right parallel with the river right now on
Yep.
the east side.
We're on the
in
Gold
the Gold Coast area.
River Bluff Road.
Personally, one of my favorite areas because the homes are beautiful. They're well maintained.
But they're not like
And
crazy, like they're not
Yeah.
mansions. Most of them are old houses, and they're like you said, they're very well maintained, and they're beautiful homes. People take care of
And
them.
a lot of the houses on this side of town are part of the historic district too, and they're very strict. But it results in you having homes that were built in the late 1800s and early 1900s that look beautiful, and you don't really see homes getting built like that anymore.
All
There
cookie cutters.
are really nice houses on the west side. There's beautiful parts on the west side, but the east side is kind of where the Elgin started and then expanded from. I personally just love the street we're on right now. It's one of my favorites just because almost every house looks great, and it just gives you that sense of pride of the fact that Elgin has been an incorporated city for well over 100 years, and it came up right around the time Chicago did.
Yeah, 1835 is when the
city was
founded. Right? It was incorporated about 2 or 3 years later, and it grew very, very quickly. While we're over here, to our right over here is the old Sherman Hospital.
Old campus, which still has some buildings. I don't know what
they're not used anymore, so a private company bought the building. They haven't done anything with it. However, when the pandemic started, Governor Pritzker made this one of the emergency centers, so they completely redid the building on the inside in case the pandemic got so bad that they ran out of space, ICU space and such, that they spent a lot of time completely redoing this and making it more like a hospital again versus what it is, what it was prior, which is just a big empty building. In fact, if you ever go by here, you can see the individual walls for all the rooms that they had built. But it was a beautiful hospital. Unfortunately, most of it's gone now, and it's not being used, and it's very
the first job I ever had was at this hospital, at the older Sherman, right after they had added the wing on, the new addition, the John Graham Pavilion. And I worked right in there, and it was like the nicest thing to the area. And now the pavilion still exists, but where the parking garage was and the inpatient rooms in the doctor's building are all gone now. And it is odd because across the street you have these two large.
Look at that, the original sign for Sherman Hospital.
Yeah, the original sign's still there too. But across the street's the two large parking lots that were used by the staff and visitors. Those still exist, and it's just there's nothing there. It's not really maintained, and so it's the old Sherman was a community hospital because it was literally surrounded by the community and the residential area.
The company that bought the property got a really good deal on it. It did not cost much when they. Excuse me.
Bless you, sir.
It did not cost much when they bought it, and I think they were hoping that when they bought it, they would quickly sell it for a lot more money, or at least lease it out for a lot more money, and it just hasn't been the case. So naturally, they're just not taking care of it. I mean, I'm sure the property taxes on a property that size is incredible, but
I'm surprised it didn't get turned into condos.
It wasn't a company that had other property. This company is, I can't think of the name of it, but it's based on the address of the property, whatever the something Slade Avenue. That's what it's name of the business. So they literally pooled their money and bought this property. So I don't think they have a lot of capital to keep up with it, unfortunately. And what we're coming up to now is Slade Avenue and Dundee Avenue, which is where the old Simpson Electric building used to be, which
huge.
Was also at one time the Elgin, what was it called? The Elgin Compact Company. They made Compact for women back in the day, and then Simpson Electric took it over. Had a bunch of different owners, but that's a big empty city space. I'm surprised they haven't done anything with it yet.
Yeah.
But
Well, radios are silent now. There's been no traffic at all,
Yeah.
even for neighboring towns. Usually we'll hear South Elgin's dispatchers, because Elgin Fire dispatches South Elgin Fire as well.
yeah,
We heard a little bit of Huntley earlier, but there's been nothing really now. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty dead, which is typical for a Monday.
yeah.
So,
And it's a holiday, not as many people worked possibly. So I think we don't have any other questions.
Yeah, Stack did actually. Stack said, "Did you see CNN's special on Elgin called United Shades of America?"
I did not see that.
I'm going to have to look into that
I will
myself.
definitely have to look. I'll probably do
Man.
that when I get home tonight.
Stack, you know a lot more about our city than we do.
I mean, I know a lot about the
Yeah.
city, but I'm not as up to date as I used to be with a lot of stuff, unfortunately.
I'd like to watch that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
How old is do you know how old the special was on? Was it just a couple years ago, recent or older? 'Cause that would be nice to see, because at one time the city did had a lot of industry in it.
I mean, yeah, they were
The
a major
clock
blue-collar
tower,
town.
or the watch factory. Sorry.
Watch factory. They
The
had
Elgin Sweets.
They had the
Street Sweepers.
dairy company. Well, Elgin Sweepers is still in business.
Still exists, yes,
Yeah.
but I'm saying it was one of the big industries that employed a great deal of people to the city itself too. So.
Oh yeah, I mean that's.
But I did not know about the special. I'm curious myself. We had another person, Marley, came on. Thank you for all that you do. Well, we appreciate it. Sam does. Sam's dedicated a lot of his personal time and his own personal finances into this, because it's something he's so passionate about, and that we love our city. And
I've been making short films about Elgin for 9 years now, which does not feel that long. I started when I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
And it's been incredible. I've been so blessed by the amount of people I've met and the projects I've got to work on and the awards that I've been recognized with. And I love this city. I lived in Iowa for a few short months, and I was so happy and excited to move back here, because this will always be my home. I don't think I'll ever move out of. Currently, I don't live in Elgin, but when I move back, to Elgin and buy a house, I don't think I'll ever move out. I absolutely love living here. It's been very, very nice.
Stack says that it was an episode about the rope program itself, which you were talking about, and it was a few years ago. So
yeah, I'll have to look into that.
I am curious. Yeah, I'm actually gonna.
Yeah, the rope program was very unique and very successful for the Elgin community, and a lot of other police departments have followed in Elgin's footsteps and the programs that the police departments had. I mean, Elgin was one of the very first departments in the state of Illinois to try out body cams, and Chief Lally and some of the other officers of the department would go out and go to these different departments and help them set up. Actually, not even in the state of Illinois. I know they went to Missouri a couple times. They went to New Jersey. They go to these departments and help them get established with body cams and all these other programs to get more involved in the communities. And I think that's incredible that, it's not a big city doing that. It's not Chicago doing that. It's not Detroit or New York. It's little Elgin, which went out so little, but it's Elgin that's making these strides to be a better department and be more connected and involved with its community. And that's gone way back since, mid 1900s. Elgin's been very involved. So yeah, that's great to see. I did not know about that. I'll definitely have to check it out. Thanks for that info. Since it's been quiet for a bit,
Yeah, not much now.
about 10 minutes to 8, I think. It's not 10 minutes to 8. I think we will go ahead and start winding down here until the end of the broadcast.
Thanks for the people that
A
came
couple
by.
interesting things tonight. We had the fender bender accident at Illinois Park School to start the stream, and we had the unfortunate vehicle versus pedestrian, which turned out to be a hit and run. that then transpired into more worse things. Sorry, more worse things. That transpired into worse things, and I'm hoping that at this point it's been resolved and everyone's okay. But as always, we do ask for positive thoughts. If you're a person that prays, we do ask for prayers for people that are involved in these incidents, and we obviously wish the best for them and their family. So other than that, it has been pretty quiet. I think Wednesday will be kind of a happy medium between what we had tonight and what we will most likely run into on Friday. So we will be back live on Wednesday. That is the 23rd?
23rd, 5:30.
23rd at 5:30 to 6 p.m. and we will probably broadcast for about 3 hours. And we look forward to seeing you there. So if you have any last minute questions, go ahead and throw those in. And other than that, we are going to say goodnight. Make sure you drive safe tomorrow. We're almost done with this mask mandate. Almost through it. And hopefully get back to some normalcy here pretty soon.